Hey everybody, just starting the stream up here. So I'm making a card game, and I'm gonna continue talking about it as the stream progresses here. Just give me a second here to get everything in place. The stream's just starting up. I'll be right back. Alright, thank you for your patience. I am back. Okay, so for today's stream, I have my card game. It's called Coronal Mass Ejection so far. That's what I'm calling it. The name might change, but probably not. To be honest, I did not see the coronavirus coming. I mean, who did? But I imagine the virus's name comes from the sun, right? Like maybe it's the shape of the sun or something. I don't know. Anyways, I'm just going to check my audio here real quick. So, like I said, I'm just starting the stream up, so just hang in there. Okay, so it sounds pretty good. Yeah, and I put out a tweet. But anyways, yeah, so I've got this like size here, and I might change it, but this is gonna work for what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm just sketching the cards. So for example, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this without a nice light, but let me see if you can. I'm watching with some lag here. Apparently, it's taking forever. Okay, so now I can see. So putting it just a little bit closer, and maybe you can see there's like a picture of like a teleport device, right? So this like teleport device is yeah, you probably can't really see it. Anyways, this is a mothership upgrade of no cost, and it's a breakthrough discovery to increase your exploration points, and then you discard it and it goes back into the deck, which is not a very large deck. It's kind of small, really, and I might expand upon it, but it's big enough to play the game. I've been testing it with my good friend Matt, and he's kind of joined the team in a sense to help me design it. He plays a lot of games. I mean, he's never designed. And I guess he's designed smaller stuff before. He's a teacher, so I believe he's designed some games for his class, which is interesting. I hope the stream is okay. I'm seeing different like buffering situations here. Give me 1 second to see if I can try to mitigate that. Okay, it looks like it turned on low latency mode automatically, so maybe that's sorted out. It's hard to say. It looks like the stream is just it's everything that I'm looking at. It's like super late. I don't know why it's so late. Probably because I'm using Restream and going through all these different channels at once rather than just going through Twitch. But yeah. It looks like it's working. It's weird that the time says 0 on how long I've been going on Twitch, which is kind of strange. Let's see what it says on here. This one says 02. But it looks like it's streaming, right? I'm going to just pull up my stream real quick and we'll see. Or my channel real quick, and we'll see if it's on there. Should be. Yeah. Okay. So it's not terrible quality, and wow, it's much faster than everything else. So I should have that up instead of. Okay. Give me 1 second to pull that up. Oh, and the timer caught up on this other thing, so that's cool. Sorry about the technical stuff. I haven't streamed in a while. This is a new setup for me. But we'll be rolling here in a second. Cool. Okay, so I showed you the one card. Basically, this. Oh, let me pull that back up. So this is Krita, which is free software, and that's why I'm using it, because it's free. It's a little bit better than GIMP. I think so, but that's like totally opinion. If you know GIMP, then GIMP would work just as well. I know GIMP, but I know that I don't like using it, so I figured I'd try Krita and see how that is, and I am admittedly inexperienced with Krita, so if anyone is experienced in Krita, please feel free to join the chat, let me know, and I'd be happy to learn from you. But I have been using digital tools to make art for a while here, so I'm not too worried. And I'm about to just jump into it. I've done one sketch as like a pre-sketch just to like come up with an idea of what I'm doing. So I think what I'm going to do is white on black, and I can show you, you know, kind of like just kind of do like a little sketchy doodle, you know. And then yeah, just kind of separate things on layers of it, and I feel like I'll make some adjustments, maybe use some filters. We'll see what I feel like doing for these sketches. What's cool though is that these are just sketches, and I'm planning to actually make the final art in a pixel art style. So I'm excited for that. I just want to make sure that I have something that's a little bit more illustrative to go off of for inspiration when I'm starting. And hopefully it can get some more people involved in the stream. Definitely check out Retro Spaceball, which is my main project. If you haven't checked that out, definitely check out Retro Spaceball. I'm planning on doing a hard release within like a year and a half or so. I'm still planning that, but it's 2 years and like 4 months in development, so it's definitely been priority number one, and it still really is. I'm just taking a little break because I did a really big update, which I'm excited about, and I would love it if you tested it and gave me feedback. The update is a PvP update, so it's the first time that like players can play couch versus mode. Yeah, so local multiplayer for two players right now. I'd like to bring that up to 4, but we'll just have to see how that goes. Yeah, so I do think I am going to start with the card that's called the Coronal Mass Ejection, which I could try to show you again, but I don't think you'll be able to really see. But it's basically a depiction of a coronal mass ejection. And it's a good idea to pull up a reference here too, because I'm sure there's other images of what I'm looking for. Because this term exists, obviously there's a definition for it. But I'm looking for an image, yeah. So I'm looking for something like I'm going to draw something like this. This is obviously a computer-generated image. I don't know where it's taking me. We'll just have to see. Yeah. Okay. So. Alright. So this is what they think it looks like. But if you can imagine how big the sun is, we're talking about something that's, you know, this would encompass just the radiation coming from it would encompass the space of like, I don't know, hundreds, if not thousands of the size of our planet, possibly more if you think about how much spray. There is, so this material that's shooting out is like super radioactive, like nuclear stuff. And by the time it gets to our planet, like the radiation waves from it, it's strong enough to wipe out our communications and stuff. And it's actually happened at least a couple times. Oh, and I didn't show you the other components. The other components I have, these are just counters that I made at work. They are just circles of paper mat board, which you could buy, but like it's just like really thick cardstock, basically. I don't know. I think this is like 2 or 4 ply. I can't really tell. I forget. I'm not a framing wizard anymore. I work in production now, so I don't know all the ins and outs of the fancy mats. We just use the cheap stuff. But yeah, so you could use any cardstock and just laser cut it. I just did a bunch of like 0.75 inch circles or something like that, and yeah, I use them to play the game. And I figure anyone could have counters. You could use anything. You could use stones. You could use fucking gravel. Or semi-precious stones would probably be suitable too. Those are pretty cheap. Anything that you think would be interesting. Anyways, next up is these cards I made, rule cards. One's game rules and one is the turn phases. So you can see I laser cut them. I don't know if how they look in the camera there, but yeah, they are like it's like NASA font. I thought was appropriate, and yeah, they look kind of cool. I like it. So anyways, I've got some music set up here. We'll see here how loud that is. I'm just gonna look, and it's not there at all, so I'm going to put it there. Okay, so you've got audio. I lost audio. What the hell? Oh, okay, it was VLC. Yeah, it seems to be. I can turn it down just a little bit here, just so I'm not being overpowered by it, But I do want you to hear it when I'm not talking and stuff, and not have to. I want it to be similar here. I don't want to be blowing out your thing if you're trying to listen to the music and you hear me talk all of a sudden, But this looks okay. Okay, so I've got Cruda, I've got my reference. I'll probably turn on the light here in a bit. But yeah, so I kind of want it to go from left to right rather than right to left. So I'm just gonna start with like a circle on its own layer here, and I don't know how to make it. Okay, so just shift in Krita to make it equilateral or whatever. A circle, not an oval. Okay, so you oh, this is not the right tool. I'm looking for, this part got me. The move tool is like not there. Control T still works for what it's supposed to do. I kind of like the idea of it being like half, but it's also like not good design, I don't think, to show half. And I think it would look bigger if I only showed like a third of it and like blew it up, right? That way it looks even more menacing. And besides, it's not like the sun is the main character of this card. It's the arcing. the tremendous amount of arc. And sorry about my chair if it's squeaky and stuff. I need to get a new chair. B is brush, which is great. Let's see here. So I'm gonna make a new layer because I'm just gonna do some gestural stuff. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on these drawings because I'm going to give them away for free. These are just going to be like placeholder drawings. So I'm going to try to do them as quickly as I can. There's like over 100 of them, I think. I have a spreadsheet of the cards, but I forget the numbers. Get out of here, phone. Okay. Yeah, so a coronal mass ejection, like, would wipe out your electronics and your communications, your internet, your solar panels, pretty much screw you over if you were in space, especially because when you're on Earth or on a planet with an atmosphere like Earth's, then you have this shield, essentially. That's what our atmosphere is best for, is shielding radiation from the sun. Without it, we would be dead already. We wouldn't be able to survive with the amount of radiation that exists in our orbit around the sun. We're actually pretty close to the sun in comparison to the grand scheme of things, right? So the reason why it's warm enough for us to live and why it's nearly 80 degrees in Phoenix, even in the winter, is the radiation from the sun, right? It's allowed for evolution and warmth, and our planet emits its own radiation. Heck, we as a species emit our own radiation from our bodies naturally, because of the planet or the sun's radiation. It all stems from that. Without the sun's radiation, none of that could exist. But there is so much of it that eventually it will destroy our planet. That's just the way that it works. That's the way suns work, or stars work. The only other way it would work is that if it burnt out or exploded prior to consuming our planet, then perhaps the blast would destroy our planet, or the what am I trying to say? The lack of radiation would kill our planet, right? Because we need this temperate zone, like in between, where we get a little bit of radiation, but not too much radiation, and that's what we need as a planet. But stars are not stable, typically. Some are more stable than others, but they're essentially, they have an atmosphere not much like ours, but somewhat similar to ours, where they have a storm system on the sun. There's a storm system. I say they, like there's people living there. I don't think anything could live there. Clearly, I'm stylizing this quite a bit here. There wouldn't be particles coming from this. It would be chunks of radioactive waves, and almost like magma, radioactive magma. And since there's, you know, the only gravity in the area would be from the sun, everything would be stretched out towards the sun. Yeah, so I was gonna have, okay, yeah, never mind, sorry, I thought that I had the chat up, but I did, but I had it in a different spot, so got confused. Yeah, but things seem to be going well here. I want some more stretching going on though, so. Sorry, VLC seems to be funky today. It looks kind of funky, so I'm gonna zoom in and see what that looks like. It doesn't look much better. I feel like the resolution is messed up. It should be at 300, but I don't think it is. But luckily, this is just a scratch drawing, anyways. It says it's at 300. 299.9988881 for some reason. But this is a really small thing because it needs to fit on a card, so I don't know. We'll just roll with it. I'll probably do iterations of some of these, perhaps, so we'll just have to see how it goes. And like I said, it's a free drawing, so you can't really complain about the resolution. And it should, you know, if it does its job, it should get people to want to pay for the full version, which will have real pixel art based off of these sketches. Sorry if I'm being kind of quiet here. Just listening to the music and focusing on what I'm doing. Not too happy with all these big spaces here, but we'll see what we can do to fix it. It doesn't really look great what I'm doing here, but... So, yeah, this card game is pretty cool. It's kind of like Magic a little bit, but it's different in a lot of ways too. There's no mana. Instead, you've got resources that you gather from celestial bodies. So you've got your minerals, which you can get from like asteroids or certain planets. From scrap, if there is a battle and if something explodes, you can pick up the debris. And sometimes you can have like a scrap arm, so you get like twice as much if you're finding scrap. So sometimes it's useful to take the scrap away from someone else if they have a scrap arm. There's a lot of different strategies for the game. It's definitely a strategy-heavy game, and I really like it. I'm really enjoying developing it. I'm really enjoying playing it. It's a nice breath of fresh air from game development because, I mean, clearly I've only been working on Retro Spaceball for 2 years and 4 months, but I've been making games for a lot longer than that. I started when I was a young kid, actually making paper prototypes and stuff like that, board games, drawing games and stuff like that. But I started to make video games probably around 2010 or so, and before that I had been doing like semi games, like almost game type stuff. I was using like Macromedia Director back in the day to like do some programming and stuff like that. Yeah, one thing I do like about Krita, not to change the subject here, is that if you right click, it's got this little zoom scroll thing, which is great. I don't think Aseprite has that, which is disappointing. There's a few things that I really wish A-Sprite had. But yeah, it's an indie, so you can't expect too much from them. Alright, that looked bad. I'm not sure what I'm doing here, to be honest. I kind of want these areas to be more white, so I think I'm gonna start like sketching, like shading, the opposite of shading here. Oh, and if you're interested, I'm using a Wacom Intuos Pen and Touch small pen tablet. Does the job. It's a little old now. I'm looking at a what do they call those? The I forget what it's called already. Not the Cintiqs, but the knockoff or whatever brand. I hear they're pretty decent. I mean, I hear nothing's like a Cintiq, but I also don't want to spend as much as they're asking. Maybe if one day I make a whole bunch of money or something, but until then, I'll just use what I can. And honestly, like I said, I'm pretty good at using the non-graphics design tablets. I've been using them since like 2005, just looking at the screen. I kind of enjoy not looking down, but I do enjoy having a raised surface in front of me. Your arm can get kind of cramped up when it's down all the time, especially like right now. My elbow's against the chair. This is on my lap, so it's not stable. Sometimes it's not straight. But honestly, I don't have enough desk space right now for something. So I'm gonna have to upgrade my office here soon. I want to get one of those L-shaped desks, but I also want one that does like the standing conversion. It doesn't need to be motorized or anything crazy like that, but I do want to be able to stand. The desk that I'm using now is actually not so much a desk, but a drawing table, and it does the job. Sorry, I'm just kind of thinking about what I'm doing as I'm drawing. It does the job, but it's a little bit high, and my chair is a little bit low for it. The problem being that my wrists end up doing this kind of thing. I don't know if you can see, but yeah, and it's really not good for your wrists. So I'm doing it in black and white, so it will be cheap to print. I'm making it real small, so it will be cheap to print. I'll probably do inverted colors once I have it drawn, so that way it's a little bit cheaper. But I think this is a good look. I don't know. Maybe I should try inverted if I'm planning on inverting it later, but I think this will be better because the stars are supposed to be white in like a black sky, right? And it's mostly gonna be, that was my elbow on the chair, sorry, I did not fart. Or like last night I was doing this. the girls I was hanging out with was like, Rick! I missed this track. I made it a couple years ago. Real long. It needs to be chopped down. I kind of stole the sample. I found this like jazz pianist that has like an archive of like all of these classical jazz songs and like how to play them. So it's like all acapellas. Or not acapellas, it's all isolated piano. And it's just like perfect for like, you know, lo-fi, which is what I was attempting here. Of course, everything that I make sounds a little weird. I'm not big on following rules when it comes to music. I think I'm spending a little bit too much time on this, but it is like the card that everyone's gonna see, I feel like. Well, it's kind of look like a lava lamp because I like lava lamps. And when I was a kid, I used to always pretend that like the lava lamp was like some type of space like explosion. Also, I just like lava lamps. I kind of wish I would have brought mine from Illinois when I moved to Arizona. Yeah. Sorry for being so quiet. So, just to switch it up, give my hand a rest here and talk a bit. So I was watching this stream, right? I'm part of this Discord for the IGDA, which is like all of the chapters. Like the IGDA official Discord. I'm not officially a member. Like I don't pay dues, but I do use the IGDA for everything I can without paying the dues, totally, because it's a great, well, usually a great resource. I say usually because this particular day I was watching a stream about marketing, funnily enough. You know, because I'm doing a lot of marketing right about now. Right now I'm marketing a new thing, which is probably a little bit off-brand for me. But I feel like it's time. Anyways, I'm hiring someone who's marketing, so I'm just like trying to keep going with as much information and knowledge as I can. And this guy is like advertising that he's good at marketing and he's gonna like give away some free knowledge for indies, right? And he's gonna do this talk on IGDA's Twitch channel. So the first time they log on, he starts talking. In about 30 seconds, it loops. And after about 30 seconds, it loops that recording. And by like the first like 2 or 3 minutes, it's just like constantly, and it's just like getting louder and louder. And he just keeps going, and it's like, it's so bad. And no one caught on that it was happening right away. So it went on for like 15 minutes, or no, it was like 10 minutes or something like that. And it was just insane. And one of the people in the chat was like, I'm too stoned for this right now. It was great. So then they like got back on after a while because they realized it, and it's like, oh, I hope I'm not looping. Let me know if it's looping. And then it's like, I hope I'm not looping. Let me know if I'm looping. I hope I'm not. It just keeps going like that, right? And he realizes it, stops the stream. Like, it just kept on going like that. And then he'd be like, oh, well, I'm going to try to type. And he's, all of a sudden the keyboard's looping. And like, oh, it was so bad. And this guy's like a marketing guy, and he doesn't know how to stream. Like, obviously never used Twitch before. And he's like an old timer too, so the fact that he's like pretending to know how to market still is like almost laughable. I felt like I could do a better job than this guy, but here I am looking for someone. Well, not looking anymore. I found someone, paying someone to help with the marketing. So, you know, guy. Well, I haven't seen any results yet, but I really trust this person because I've seen results in other stuff she's done, and I'm really excited for what she can do for Retro Spaceballs. So, all positive thoughts there. So this track I made a long time ago. Using samples that I mostly just download from torrents and stuff like that, with no idea of how license friendly and royalty friendly they were. But those were the days, right? And if the Beastie Boys could do it, so could I. I think this is actually looking pretty cool now. I mean, the resolution's kind of shit, but like I said, this is gonna be tiny. Like, I'm talking about making the cards like a quarter of the size of a normal card, so you can print off a full deck on just like, you know, a couple sheets of paper, 3 sheets of paper or something like that, and then save on the ink, Save on the paper. Save on the table space. And then it's probably just gonna make square counters that have like labels on them, so they're easier to understand. Like mine are just plain. I thought about putting pencil marks on them, but also just like them being plain. But I'm designing the game, so it's a little bit easier for me to internalize what each pile is for. It will probably help noobs for the piles to be designated by like a symbol. Like I'm thinking icons, just to make it small, printer friendly. I'm really focusing on trying to build a community with this. It would be nice to do a Kickstarter eventually, but honestly the most expensive part is going to be the art making, and that's me. So I can cut you a deal. But I would like to stop picture framing. It's just, you know, not great for my back. My body's getting old. I don't want to picture frame forever. I just don't. I'm not that passionate about it. Like my boss is like passionate about picture framing. He's alright with doing that for the rest of his life. Me, not so much. There's nothing wrong with picture framing. It's just a lot of effort. And it's not so much the effort, it's just the physical work. Like, I don't know. I think I've got like arthritis, or like rheumatoid arthritis or something. I need to get tested or something, because I definitely have arthritis, but it seems to be getting like really bad, and I'm too young to be having arthritis as bad as I have it. So, yeah. But luckily, everything's getting automated these days. So. Jobs are becoming remote. I'm really happy to be doing some remote contract work. I'd like to be doing more, but I gotta get that health insurance because I'm getting older. Just in case, you know. I like this. This is fun. It reminds me of doing pen and ink, like with a quill pen a little bit. Because I use some white ink. I'll use white paper, but I'll put like layers of black wash down, washes of black, like grays and stuff. And I'll use the white ink on top of that, over like a neutral ground and stuff. Like I said, I'm spending a little bit longer than I'd like to on this one, but I like where it's going so far. So, I'm not seeing any viewers really. I think just myself. So I'm going to take a quick second here to look at my channels and see what's going on. Oh, and I just remembered that I'm not actually on Mixer because they put in a new thing where you have to wait 24 hours or something like that, so... Let me see if my YouTube is actually streaming me. Yeah, so that's cool. YouTube streaming, but of course it's hard to get viewership on YouTube, especially for live streams if you don't have an audience. Alright, so that's working. Let's see if Periscope's working. Sorry that you can't see what I'm doing. I'm doing it on a different screen. It does not look like Periscope's working. Which is a shame because I usually get quite a few people on my Twitch watching, so. This isn't what I want. Hold on, I'm just gonna go to Twitter and check that out. Sorry about this stream. Like I said, it's kind of a new setup for me. I want to make sure everything's running smoothly here. Yeah, I'm not sure if Twitter's working either. Yeah, it says sending data. Maybe something happened in my settings. Yeah, same with Facebook. It doesn't seem to be working right off the bat. Yep, what you gonna do? I'll have to figure it out another time. Sorry. Well, that makes sense why there's less people watching than I was assuming it would be. Because usually, like I said, Periscope gets quite big viewership. Last time I did it, anyways. Yeah. I'm gonna keep going with this. So when I first started DJing, I made these tracks, or this track. Like this sample. I took this, actually there's a little bit of delay here. One of these samples that you're hearing, I took from, I forget that I'm listening in Bluetooth, so there's like a 1 second delay or something. It's from this DJ I met at the first Bonnaroo I went to, which was like 2006. And he's like, "Hey, I'm a DJ. Here's my CD." I was like, "Oh, I'm a DJ too." He's like, "Do you guys CD?" I was like, "No, next year I'll probably bring a CD." And I did. In 2007, I brought CDs. It did the same thing. "Hey, I'm a DJ." And I think sure enough, someone else was like, "Oh, I'm a DJ too." I'm like, "Did you bring your CD?" He's like, "No, I'm not, next year." CDs are kind of a thing of the past, I guess, huh? Listening to indie DJs is kind of a thing of the past. And this was a Bass Nectar sample. But I changed the tempo, put in a different drum beat, and then you can hear the terrible loop job I did, where it's got a clip. Yeah, so I like sci-fi stuff, and I've always kind of liked Magic, but there's a lot of things I didn't like about Magic. The biggest thing I didn't like growing up about Magic was that my brother would change the rules, right? He's kind of an asshole, so he would just change the rules. Or he would say like, oh, it really means this when it says that. And I didn't know who to believe, you know, there was no like rule book to address stuff like that. There was probably like internet forums and stuff, but I didn't have the internet, so this was like early 90s. Or early to mid 90s. So yeah, I figure having one solid deck with, you know, maybe some boosters in the future, or like not boosters, instead of boosters, doing expansions where the game's playable with the base deck. You can expand it if you feel like it. And then yeah, you have to learn the new rules for each new card then, but you don't have to do that. It's not like someone brings a card with their deck and says like, oh, you have to play by the rules of this card because I brought it. And even though you've never played with it before, this is how it works. It's a very uncomfortable situation, and some people like that in Magic when they're like the more aggressive type, where they're like, I've got this card that no one knows how to play, and I know how to play it, and it always brings anxiety to the battlefield or whatever, you know, like play it as a strength. But I don't really like that as a design trait, so I decided to just kind of do away with that. And I played this game with my friend Matt, who, like I said earlier, is helping me with the design of this a little bit. I asked him to help, and at least he's helping on the testing so far, and he's doing a great job. He's a football coach too, so I mean he's like kind of a sports-centric person, but he really likes strategy. So yeah, he likes the game. But he was showing me a game that he bought, was playing with his friends outside of me, called Flapjacks and Sasquatches. And it's a really fun game. I definitely recommend checking it out. If you haven't yet, you could probably find it at one of those like game bars or whatever like that. Maybe not. But it's one solid deck. I think there's boosters, or there's expansions, but there's no booster decks, you know, there's no like build your own deck and bring it to the tournament type thing. The rules, you know, they are the same. And like I said, the expansions have different rules and stuff, but if you're not playing with the expansion, then you just have to learn the game, right? I actually picked up a lot of inspiration from that game, because it was a little bit like Magic, but it was so far removed that you don't normally think that way unless you're a game designer, in which case it's hard not to think that like the trees are a little bit like mana, and your axe is a little bit like your enemies or your creatures, and then there's like buffs, which are a little bit like the spells. And the major difference is that instead of killing the other creatures, you're killing your mana source essentially, and you're hoping for a good card draw, which is essentially the same as Magic when you're hoping for a card draw. But instead of worrying about getting hit, you just worry about not losing. And I imagine it's really a lot of fun with more than 2 players, but there's only 2 of us, so. So I'm kind of excited for dinner. I'm making this barbecue chicken, but last night I went to a barbecue restaurant that's close to me that has like the best barbecue and the best barbecue sauce. So I got extra sauce, and that's going in my slow cooker with the chicken right now. Half an onion, 2 cloves of garlic. It's like 2 chicken breasts. Bunch of other seasonings. It might be a little spicy because the barbecue, one of them is ghost pepper barbecue, and it's like numbingly hot barbecue sauce. Very tasty stuff. If you like that type of experience, like I do.
Oh my god, we should totally trip our faces off later.
That was a sample from The Stoned Age. This movie that was not great, but I thought I'd steal a sample from it. Again, I think I'm getting a little too detailed here, but it looks cool. Maybe I can use this for the cover of the prototype or something. So that way, I don't know, I'll probably do something that's a little bit more theatrical, right? A little bit more dramatic, like full color. Hey, I could probably use this in one of the layers, or at least as a like an onion skin or a template. Yeah, so this card game is, like I said, it's similar to Magic, but it's different in a lot of ways. So instead of creatures, you've got your fleet. In Magic, you're like a sorcerer, and you have your creatures and your spells. Well, in Coronal Mass Ejection, you're a mothership, and you have your fleet, and then your upgrades. So basically, certain cards have no cost, and that's how you start your fleet. Certain systems have no cost, and those are a huge boost, right? You find discoveries, some of them at no cost, and then you now have mineable celestial bodies, and you need those to kind of get the game get started. And then there's the objective is to kill the other player, but there's a whole bunch of different ways to do that. You can attack outright with your fleet. Then you can upgrade your mothership to be able to attack. There's NPCs and events that cause damage, so the game can end that way. Essentially, there could be a draw then too. Didn't think about that. Be pretty rare though, because things tend to swing to one way or the other, because of the randomness of drawing the cards. So the way that the game works is that you draw 10 cards, and if you feel like discarding them, then at the end you say like, oh, I'm not going to need this card. You can discard it with no penalty. In fact, you get a reward for discarding cards you don't need, because you get a new card. You get, because you need 10 cards at the beginning of every turn. So you draw cards until you have 10 cards. So the fewer cards you have at the beginning of the turn, the better off you are, unless you have something that you're waiting to use, or something that you want to prevent the other player from using, which is another strategy. Which is great. The last time I tested with Matt, after we didn't actually finish the game because he wasn't here very long, and it's kind of a long game. It can take a while. I'm still in the testing phase, so I don't know exactly how long it takes. But I looked at his hand after he had left. You know, he lives an hour and a half away, and he was holding on to the like a black hole, I think, or something like that, which makes sure that, with a black hole, you can put your space station on and start getting points towards like a black hole weapon, which only takes like 2 hits to wipe out another player. So yeah, he was holding on to that because he had both the space station cards. Now right now I'm only testing with 2 people, but I have a feeling once I start testing with 3 people, I'm probably going to start adding more cards, and then start testing that again with 2 people and see what I can do to make that work. And then I'm going to try to get it all the way up to 8 people, but it's going to have to be incremental, because I'm really worried about 7 people or 8 people having a bad time and it being a not fun thing, or a waste of time, or taking 4 hours to do and not being fun, that type of thing. Yeah, the more I scratch in this white, I feel like it might not need to be inverted. I'll probably just kind of have to go through and decide for each card what would have more white. I wonder if I can just start like shading.
LSD itself certainly is not fatal, but for individuals temporarily irrational in mind and spirit, it can be the propellant toward a swift demise. Accidents and suicides have been reported. High on the drug, an adolescent slashed his arm and bled to death in a field of lilies. Even homicidal tendencies can emerge. The fortunate, among those who become unhinged under LSD, at least manage to stay alive.
I really like how that's looking, to be honest. But I don't know.
Come on.
for just a minute and hope that tomorrow.
LSD managed to stay alive. It's a disenchanted, restless, insecure generation, continually searching for new kicks.
Like I've been saying, this is just a sketch, so I'm really not too worried about the final outcome. I'm gonna use it to make the pixel art, which is gonna be vastly different, so it'll be just kind of like a way to experiment with compositions and not have to worry about the limitations of pixel art until I know exactly what the composition's gonna look like.
LSD crystal, colorless, odorless, tasteless, inexpensive substance, linking strobe lights silhouette the dancing throngs, making them resemble fragmented memories of an LSD high.
The only hallucination I got. Makes me think of the whole world.
Without the help to bail him out, he was caught up in a disorganized turmoil, in a hell of madness gone mad. This, then, is the Bum Trip, the final face-to-face meeting with oneself, with a whole choking mess of personal conflicts bursting forth. The acid head has taken over. Wow. The acid head has taken over. Wow.
It was 15 drops and concentrated 400 micrograms of drop. And I know it was because it immediately hit my spine. I was in sheer agony. It was
He sobs as his joy turns to fear.
What? Don't turn the lights on, man. Turn the lights off. Man, turn the lights off. Turn the lights off. Turn the lights off. What's on, man? I want everybody out here. I don't give a fool. Everybody out. Right now, I don't give a fool. Out. Everybody out. Man, I'm in the scene. I'm right here, right here, in the middle. I'm pacified. I'm happy. I'm enjoying life.
Brian's rocky journey ended 12 hours after it so innocently had begun. He was shattered by it.
Yeah, I don't like that shading that I did there. All that time wasted. No way to go back. It's alright. We got this useful tool called the eraser. Just double the amount of work that I did. So I'll go through and do that after I put these white spots in. But Yeah, I'm getting really experimental here. I'm really not sure exactly what I'm doing. But it kind of looks cool, so I'm gonna keep going with this. Oh. Is there like an eraser tool? Because flipping my thing... Oh, that's not what I want. I forget what I was trying to erase. I think it was this shit. There, now I can flip the stylus. That full speed comes out. Fuck. Oh. Yeah, this is taking a while, huh? It's already been an hour and a half almost, so... Gonna have to just try to speed it up. See how much I can replicate this side. Without spending too much time. So I started playing Rocket League again today. I actually saw that it was on sale for the Switch for like half off, so I went and grabbed that last night actually. Fun game. Probably the first game I've ever bought on more than one system. Like the same exact game, you know. Like I had Mega Man on Game Boy, but you know. Yeah, same exact game. I have it on Steam and Switch now. But what are you gonna do? Honestly, I feel like they're doing such a great job with that game that I should be using it as reference material just in case I end up doing an online multiplayer game, which I'm sure I will, because that seems to be the trend in video games. And hopefully one day I am part of a big enough company to work on something like that. Or that my own company is big enough. I would love to make this card game into an online multiplayer video game, but that would be a project outside of what I'm capable of, so I would need a bigger team, programmers, someone to do the back end, maybe MMO probably for cross-platform, probably be turn-based, which would make it a lot easier, but still be really difficult to make it work across all the platforms. Dots don't look good anymore. Everything else is too realistic. getting a little bit lazy here. I plan to get more lazy as I keep making these, to be honest. I don't want to spend too much time doing this. I was hoping to actually get a whole bunch done today, but apparently it's going to take longer than I had originally planned. The upside of that is that I can spend more time streaming, hopefully growing the community. I want to make a place for this, like a Discord server or something that I can start collecting people. For now, I'll probably just keep doing the retro spaceball, Coronal Mass Ejection, like duo. There's also the game I'm calling Cyber Source Hack. For now, it's the working title. And that game is a cyberpunk RPG, action RPG game. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that as well. I really want to get a whole bunch of people involved in that, and hopefully not make it such a solo project like everything else has been. But we'll just have to see what budget can account for. A lot of it's going to be relying on the leftover budget of Retro Spaceball and any profits I make from Retro Spaceball, as well as any profits I make from this game I'm working on here, Coronal Mass Ejection. But the idea is to make a business out of this, so we'll just have to see how well I can do. So the laziness is paying off, as far as I can say. I say laziness and my arm's gonna like fall off. And I do something like that. That chicken's smelling good. I am feeling hungry. I think I put it on low though, so I think I got a few more hours. Alright, the laziness is no longer paying off. I'll have to fix it with the eraser. Alright, well, I'm not gonna go too much further on that, but I would like to make this look more like a fucking planet star thing. This was actually going to be the soundtrack. It was like a sampler for the soundtrack of Destruction of the Heavens, this game I was working on for like two and a half years. It was like a open world space, 2D twin stick space shooter. I guess it wasn't a whole lot of fun. I really liked making it, but it was too big, and I was using Unity script, which is not a great language. Just trying to make like a neutral stroking ground, stroke neutral ground. Just, yeah, that came out all wrong. And this actually was in the game. I think, yeah. This is like the start menu music. I'm gonna do something here. Oh, that's too big. Wow, I'm really not great at drawing stars. Maybe I'll just try to focus on making it look spherical.
Babies? Seriously? Babies? Seriously?
Okay, the Scribble Sun is done. I'm reluctant to put my name on it, of course, but I don't know, maybe I should just in case other people start working on it. I mean, I doubt anyone's gonna, but there's that chance. Also, there's a chance of it being blown up, but since this is just a sketch, I don't know. Hell, I spent 2 hours on it, I might as well put my name on it. think I spent enough time signing it. I don't know. It looks kind of dumb. I'm just gonna take that out. Of course, I run out of undos. Like it never happened at all. Whatever, I'm done playing with it. There we go. Alright, so I've saved it. It's probably all I'm gonna do tonight. Yeah. Thanks everyone who joined the stream or checked it out after the fact. I appreciate it. Definitely check out Retro Spaceball if you haven't. I can show you what that's like real quick. I'm just going to itch.io here, and then you can just type in Retro Spaceball, Retro Spaceball, and hit search, and it should come up. If you click on it, there is a web version, which I actually don't recommend. I mean, if you're just trying to see if you like it, then sure, go ahead. But if you're interested in playing the full, like, most game experience, like the best experience is going to be your Windows download. Now this Android is old. This is 1.1.9, this is 1.0.6. So it's over 10 updates old. So I don't really recommend the Android one. I'm not planning on finishing the Android anytime soon. I'm planning on finishing the PC version, making like a Mac and Linux version, getting up on Steam, doing all of that stuff, and then going back and maybe doing the Android version. It's just still there because back in the day, I thought that was going to be, I thought they were going to go hand in hand, side by side, and it was too much work. But yeah, that's how you get to the game. I would really appreciate it if you play it. Join the Discord. There's links for that. It should be here. Well, here's a link for the newsletter. Join the newsletter. And then links. There were a lot. Oh, here we go. got the Discord server, we've got Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Patreon, all that stuff. Definitely check it out, give it a follow. I really appreciate all the support, all the help. Definitely keep watching the streams. I really want to see this card game go somewhere. It's going to be a little bit slow since I work a full-time job. I work contracts part-time. I work on my game, Retro Spaceball. I'm working on Coronal Mass Ejection. And then also, I have the Sci-fi RPG game, and I have a dice game that I haven't even brought up today that is actually done being designed, it just needs to be produced. So all of that stuff is going to kind of happen at the same time as I'm launching Retro Spaceball. So you can imagine things are going to kind of have a slow churn, and most of the energy is going to be spent on Retro Spaceball. So look forward to hearing more about Retro Spaceball. I'm also working on a podcast. I haven't mentioned that yet either. I'm just bustling with the activity here. So the podcast, I interview game devs. Mostly I'm hand selecting them right now, but soon I'm going to have a forum up where if you're a game dev and you want to be interviewed on your game, then totally hit me up, and I'll think about it. At this point, like I said, I'm hand selecting them, but I'm definitely thinking about opening it up to the public here, and I'm going to try to do them once a week, but that's going to be difficult, so it could be once every other week, sometimes 3 weeks. You know, it's going to be kind of intermittent, and things should pick up as I release the game. But yeah, I want to thank you again for joining the stream. Thanks for following my projects. Follow me on Twitter and all that stuff. Really appreciate all the help, guys. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. Yeah, thanks. I'm gonna end it. Have a good night. Oh, that's not the right button. Peace.